Hey guys, welcome to the Google SEO workshop. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you for purchasing this course. I cannot wait to get started. So a few quick things before we dive right into this content. This workshop is made to get you results. So that is the focus of everything we're going to be doing. It's not about fancy PowerPoint presentations or making this super long 40-hour course. We're going to give you the practical steps to get results as soon as possible with your Google SEO. So let's get started with that out of the way, okay? First steps first. What is SEO? SEO is showing up on Google. It's as simple as that. What it actually stands for is search engine optimization, and that's all the things that you can do on your website and off your website to show Google that your website matters, that it's worth trusting, that it's worth pointing visitors towards, and worth showing up in the search results. So why exactly does SEO matter so much? Good SEO actually builds trust with Google. When Google trusts your website, they rank your website. And if you rank, you get visitors. It's as simple as that. If you don't, nobody is going to find you. So you want to hear a stat that's scary? 80% of visitors never go past page 1 on Google. So if you are not ranking, you are not getting visitors. It's as simple as that. Okay? So moving on. What we're going to cover in this course. Let's talk about that really quick. We're going to focus on two key areas. We're going to focus on short-term strategies for quick results, and these are all the tactics and hacks that are going to get you results fast. And then we're going to look at the long-term best practices for SEO. We're going to dive in deep and show you what it takes to actually build a network of links to get long-term referrals, traffic, and ranking. And really, SEO is a long game. You can get some quick wins by practicing some things and making some fast changes, but for the most part, it's the process of doing things consistently over time that builds and cultivates that trust with Google and gets you results. So in the process of this, we're actually going to achieve a few different things. We're going to wind up and understanding SEO and different factors that contribute to that. We're going to create a ranking game plan so you actually have a roadmap to follow once this course is done. We're going to tweak your existing website if you have one already, or you already have content for low-hanging fruit. So that's what's going to get us the quick results. Then we are going to focus on different quick win strategies such as ranking in Google Maps, Google Business, local search, and creating content that ranks. And in the process of creating that ranking content, we are going to show you the secret weapon, and that is YouTube. This is a gold mine that can get you fast results. Finally, we are going to work on different backlink building strategies and show you exactly what you can do to begin building your website authority. Sound good? Good. Okay, so what this course is going to do in the process, we're going to show you the exact framework for ranking any website. Whatever it is you do, it's going to apply, and we're going to help you create your own personalized roadmap to get you there. The onus is on you. You're going to get the steps, you're going to have the strategies, and this stuff works, but you have to apply it to get there. So what this course is not going to do, just so you know, we're not going to be focusing on any tedious nonsense in this course. We're going to keep it bare minimum, bare essentials, exactly what gets results without looking at over technical definitions or creating 20 hours worth of content for the sake of quote unquote added value, because that's what a lot of courses do. They create a bunch of content that isn't really necessary. We're going to keep it as short as we can to get you there, okay? So the end goal of all of this is to give you the most effective strategies in as concise and efficient a manner as possible. Now, full disclaimer, SEO takes time, and it takes time to work, and it also takes work to work. So if you're not putting in the work and you're not satisfied with waiting, you're going to need to use some other strategies to build your business, but because SEO takes time to work, we want to start those wheels turning as soon as possible. So without further ado, if you are ready to start building your business and getting yourself ranking, let us dive in. Okay. All right, everybody, welcome to Module 1 of our SEO course, Understanding SEO. So before we get into the actual practical step-by-step guides behind this course, first we have to have a basic understanding of what makes SEO work. If you remember in our last lesson, we talked about what SEO stands for. It's search engine optimization. And really what that comes down to is all the techniques that build trust with Google so that Google shows your website in the search results. So let's get started and dive in, okay? Number 1, effective SEO comes down to one thing, and that is trust. Trust with Google. If Google trusts your site to be good, they will send you traffic. If they do not, they will send you no one. And trust is really composed of two main factors, authority and relevance. And we're going to break down exactly what is involved in each of those. Authority is essentially whether Google thinks that you are an expert on the topic, whether you are a business with credibility, whether you have been in existence for a while. It's a bunch of different factors. And relevance, obviously, is whether or not the term that is being searched for lines up with your business or website. So, for example, if you're a wedding photographer and someone types in helicopter pilot, you are probably not going to show up even if you have authority because you are not relevant. Whereas if you're a wedding photographer and someone types wedding photography in your city, but you have poor SEO and Google doesn't know you're a wedding photographer, well, again, you are not going to show up because you have neither authority or relevance. So the question then is, what builds trust? So there are 10 key areas that Google looks at to determine your authority and relevance and develop that trust. We're going to look at those today, break them down, and in future videos, step by step, we're going to cover each of them and show you some steps you can take to address and build trust with Google. So here are 10 main factors Google looks at when they're determining your authority and your relevance. Okay, we're going to pop up this list and I'm going to talk you through the basics of what each mean. The first is site age. How long your website has been around. So the reason Google looks at this is because if your website was made yesterday or a week ago, it's only been around for a hot second, and Google says, well, this might be a scam, or this business might be out of business 6 months from now. So we're just going to hold off before we show this on the front page of our search results because we don't want to send people to a business we don't trust yet. So that is number one, site age. And we're going to look at some different ways we can address each of these in future videos. Second is active content. Whether or not your site was just made, Google is still looking at your content to see if it's fresh. So if you've been around since 1995, but your last post was in January of 2003, your content is not active. And if people are not searching it, not currently engaging it, Google says, well, this can't be very relevant. Otherwise, there would be more activity on this website. So that can be whether the posts are new and fresh or whether visitors are commenting, sharing, etc. Number 3, we have load times. How quickly your website loads actually affects what Google thinks and how it rates your website. Whether you show up in search results can massively be impacted by how fast your website loads. Backlinks is probably the core of all SEO, and the largest factor out of all of these is the backlinks that your site has. Now, what is a backlink, you ask? Let's say that I found a funny article online and I have a blog about funny articles and I share that link on my blog. I'm directing customers or users towards that blog post, and then Google says, well, obviously this piece of content must be relevant and it must have authority because it's being shared by other websites. So that's what a backlink is. Anytime anyone, anywhere links to your website, that's a backlink. However, different backlinks have different amounts of kind of link juice is the term we'd use in SEO, but really what that comes down to is Google trusts backlinks from really significant websites more than they trust a backlink from a brand new website or a backlink from social media, etc. So where your backlinks come from really does matter as well, but primarily the number of backlinks is the key indicator to whether or not your site is ranking. So if you aren't ranking and all of these other things seem to be working for you, it's probably you just need to build some backlinks and you'll see results very quickly. Moving on, our next is kind of in line with this, social interaction. Whether people are engaging with your posts, sharing them on Facebook, talking about them, tweeting them, hashtagging them, Google does look at that. They look at all the data from traffic sources everywhere. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is, they are looking at it. We already covered search relevance, which is basically whether your topic is relevant to the search that is being inquired about. Now, one thing about search relevance is Google looks at your pages and your content to determine whether or not it's relevant to certain topics. So if I have a website on wedding photography, and all of my articles are on weddings in Maine, I'm probably never going to show up when someone searches for an LA wedding photographer because I've never referenced LA in my posts. Even though I might have really great backlinks, really great load times, really great site age, it all comes down to whether or not my content is relevant. So if you aren't using what's called keywords, which would be LA wedding photographer in this case, in your content somewhere, Google doesn't know you're relevant. So that's something we'll look at as well. Traffic is a key indicator to Google whether people trust your site, use your site. Google trusts you more if you're popular. So you want to be one of the popular kids when it comes to website design, and this is kind of the irony, chicken or the egg kind of situation. If you don't have traffic, you're not going to rank. However, if you don't rank, you don't get traffic. So we're going to look at different ways to get traffic to your site to begin with and get that started for Google. Just 3 more to go. Our next is security, and that is basically whether your website has an HTTPS certificate or HTTP. Now, you don't need to worry about what those terms mean. Basically, the S stands for secure, and we'll show you how to do that. It's really quick, simple, and makes a big difference. So that's a big advantage you will get from doing this. Next, we have direct Google searches. Whether people are searching for yourname.com actually is something Google looks at to determine whether or not you are relevant and have authority. And lastly, we have click-through and bounce rate. These are 2 different terms used in SEO. Click-through is essentially how many people land on your website and click through to another page, and then go to another page after that and another page after that. Basically, the more people are using and interacting with your site, Google says, oh, this must have great content on it. I'm going to link people to these pages because when they go here, they spend a lot of time here. And bounce rate is how many people spend a second on your website and then they hop off right away because obviously it wasn't what they were looking for. Or at least that's what Google says. So if someone lands on your homepage and doesn't go anywhere else on your website and they only spend 10, 15 seconds on your website, Google actually dings you. They say, oh, that couldn't have been what they were looking for. I won't show the next person searching for that because this person didn't like it, obviously. So those are the 10 main factors we're going to work on, and we're going to break down step by step how we can address and build each of those. So what it all comes down to is Google is smart. They're looking at a lot of different factors here and weighing them all together. There's no secret hot sauce you can pour onto your website and just instantly fix things, and you can't really cheat the system. It used to be that you could insert keywords again being the search terms that you want to rank for, and you could write those search terms 1,500 times on your website, and all of a sudden you would just get linked to. However, Google doesn't do that anymore. They can see through that. And so we have to create actual engaging content, have actual people interacting with and sharing it, and then Google starts to trust our website. So because Google is smart, they know exactly what happens normally when a website is born. So this is what happens normally when a website is created. The site is created. They create some content, and then that content gets shared, whether that's by blogs, websites, other businesses, on directories, and people slowly start using that site. So Google is watching this whole process unfold. And now as users start using the site, they start searching for different things directly related to that business. They start sharing more posts. And so it's kind of this circular effect where the more content you create that gets shared, the more visitors you find, the more shares you get, etc. And Google's watching as a website slowly evolves and grows its customer base. And so what we're going to do in our SEO course is actually kind of follow a similar step. We're going to speed up the process, but we're going to do the effectively same thing. So here's our SEO game plan. This is what it all comes down to. This is what we're going to be doing here as we work together to rank your website. Step 1, we are going to research and roadmap. So desired keywords, and keywords again are search terms that you want to rank for. We're going to plan those out. Once we know what your desired customer is actually searching for, we are going to take a look at your website before we do anything else, and we're going to say, okay, what is working and what's not? We're going to create a SEO-friendly web design if necessary, or if you don't have a web design yet, we're going to look at some great things and best practices. And finally, we are going to create a content game plan. So essentially, we find a search term that we want to rank for. For instance, I live in Kelowna, Canada. Let's say I want to be a Kelowna wedding photographer. Well, I'm going to create content specifically around that keyword. Okay, so this is the step that most photographers miss. They create their website. They might have a few keywords spruced up into their images, but they don't actually create content. They don't create shareable content that starts generating traffic and building trust with Google. So that is step 1. We're going to create your roadmap. Step 2 of the whole process is we're going to create then and optimize your content. So we're going to take a look at what we can do to create viral worthy content. Things that people want to share. Once you have content that is being shared, all of a sudden everything gets so much easier. And finally, we will optimize that content for search. So there are specific things that Google is looking for, and we're going to talk about everything involved with that. There's keywords, there's metadata, there's image alt text, there's heading tags, all that fun stuff. We're going to explain it. It's going to be super simple, don't worry, and we are going to do that. Finally, once we have optimized and created our content, we are going to start generating traffic and social shares. So I'm going to show you some methods you can use to get people interacting with your content, to build valuable backlinks, and to complete the cycle. Remember, it's a cycle where if you have traffic, Google looks at you and starts ranking you so you get more traffic. So first we have to build the traffic, and we'll start that wheel rolling. And once it's rolling, it's really far easier to rank and to sustain. So to recap everything we covered in this module, ranking comes down to trust. That's all it is. If Google trusts your website, you have authority and you have relevance, Google is going to rank your site. It's as simple as that, guys. So here are the 10 keys to trust. Remember, we've got site age, active content, load times, backlinks, social interaction, search relevance, traffic, security. You get it. There's a lot to go through in here, but we're going to cover each of those individually. It's going to be great. And finally, our strategy is going to be researching and road mapping our keywords, our content, our SEO best practices. After that, we are going to create and optimize content around those keywords that we have found. And finally, we are going to build traffic and social shares to get that cycle rolling, to build that authority and trust. Once we've done that, you will start ranking. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Head over to the next video. Okay, so now that we have actually talked about what factors determine how you rank in Google and whether you're showing up in search, and we've looked at 10 strategies that we are going to employ, it's time to get started on those strategies. But first, we have to actually decide which keywords, which search terms we actually want to show up for in Google. Because until we know that, we can't really work on anything. So that is the purpose of this video. Now, without further ado, let's hop over, and I'm going to show you one free tool, one paid tool to find keywords, and then I'm also going to give you a list that I've pre-researched on keywords that I think you should probably be targeting already, okay? So the first tool that we're going to look at is Ubersuggest. You can head to neilpatel.com/Ubersuggest. It's absolutely free, which is amazing, and that is why I'm giving it to you first. What you're going to do is search for your location and then whatever service you provide. So let's say I'm a San Diego wedding photographer. Type that in there, hit search, and what Ubersuggest is going to do, it's going to pull up the amount of searches that happen within that particular search term. It's going to pull up some keyword suggestions, as well as how hard or difficult it would be to rank for that term, and how much competition you have for paid ranking. So in this particular case, it looks like San Diego wedding photographer, go figure, is showing up as pretty easy to rank for overall, which is good. Paid difficulty, it looks like a lot of people are already paying to rank for this term, so it's going to be medium. And as we scroll down, we can see how many searches there are for this particular term. And in my experience, this metric is a little bit out. So if I were to type in the hometown that I'm from, so I put in Kelowna wedding photographer instead, and I search right there, it's going to pull up SEO difficulty. Interesting is slightly harder than San Diego, but paid difficulty, no one is paying for paid ads. However, the search volume is only at 10 searches per month, and that's just not accurate. I know that because I already rank for this term, and I have probably 200 visits per day just from the different terms that I rank for. So I know it's higher than 10 searches per month. So don't feel like if your term isn't searching that much that is actually accurate. It's not. But when you scroll down here, you have some keyword ideas based on what people search for surrounding that keyword. So we have Kelowna wedding photographer, photographers, photography prices, photography, photographer in your city, wedding photographer in your city. And so we can view all keyword ideas here. And you can look at the different keywords as well as who is actually ranking. So right at the top is my website right now. It has the estimated visits from this particular term. Again, that's not correct. It's definitely higher than that. Number of social shares and domain score. So this can be really helpful. So the higher this number is, it's based, I think, out of 100. 100 being some website like Google or Facebook or Pinterest, a huge website. 1 being a brand new site with no backlinks, no authority in Google's eyes. So this can be helpful to see, okay, how much competition it takes. And what's interesting is Adrian Photographers actually have a domain score of only 6, and yet they're ranking number 2 for this term. So this can be super helpful actually, because what we're going to do is grab their URL, and we're going to head to a free backlink checker by Ahrefs, and we're going to see why it is that they're ranking and kind of figure out what we can do to basically copy what's working, right? So we're going to grab their URL, put it in ahrefs.com/backlink checker. It's a free tool which will tell us who is linking to their site. Remember, backlinks is a big contributor to how you rank. We're going to type this in here. They've got a domain rating of 12, only 130 backlinks, and 49 referring domains. So we can go through here, and what's really cool is it shows us exactly who is linking to them. And this can be very helpful because some of these sites, we can then go and say, okay, all I have to do is get a link on this site, and I am one step closer to ranking the same way that they are. So you can go through and find links. Some of them are going to be very easy to replicate. For instance, if it's a listing on a directory somewhere, you could very easily sign up for that. Some of them are going to be harder. Maybe it's a wedding bouquets that will make you swoon. For instance, they have a link on here. I would go through. I'd go open a new tab. Scroll down here and let's just type in Adrian C. Okay, so they have a photo credit right there. So we can maybe see if we can submit to Bridebox for a future post and get a link from them. Go through and do that sort of a thing for all of these. You can also go ahead and just grab their website and take a look. See what's working and what's not. So they're ranking number 2, and I can tell you Kelowna Wedding Photographers is right at the very top of this tab, so they're doing that well. They're HTTPS, so they are very secure. If we scroll down here, we have photographers in Kelowna. We have Okanagan Weddings, which is kind of the area that Kelowna is in. We have Lakeside Winery Weddings, which is kind of one of the main things that happens here in Kelowna, and Okanagan, BC, and worldwide. So they've listed their address here, so that's really great. Very fast page load time. And if we scroll over here to their blog, I'm sure that they have their keywords targeted in their posts as well. So for instance, as we scroll down here, we've got Kelowna Yacht Club Wedding and Cedar Creek Wedding, and I bet you throughout all of these they're going to have different tags for the different cities surrounding that area. So you can learn a lot just by looking through your competitors or even your friends' websites just to see what's working for them and how they're managing to do it. So we've got a lot of photos in here, but at the bottom here we have all of the locations. So that's something maybe you could add to your post, right? They've added the location for getting ready, for the ceremony, for the reception. So these are all venues within Kelowna that then they can start ranking for as well. Now, one last thing we can use this tool for is just to get an idea of how many backlinks we need to start ranking. So if we go through here and we grab our Kelowna Wedding Photographer results, we can grab the very top result, which happens to be our website, and put that in there. Go check backlinks. I'm not a robot. And we can see that it's got 1,954 backlinks, 304 domains. So I could write that down here and go 1900, 1950-ish, 304. And then I could go to website number 2, which was Adrian Photography. We would go through here, grab that. And I'm not going to bore you by going through this all one at a time. They've got 130 and 49. We're going to go through here once more, and we'll just grab one more. Let's say number 3, Carla Roslin. And we will go shebang, shaboom. And so if I were doing this for my website, I might go through the top 10 just out of curiosity, and then got 107 and 25. So you see a pattern here. Number 1 result, number 2 result, number 3 result. And we've got this large number, a slightly smaller number, and a slightly smaller number. And you're probably going to see that trend continue as you go. So backlinks do matter, and that's why it's so important that we build them. We're going to get started on that as soon as we have gone through and optimized our keywords and our existing content. So let's keep going. So we can view all of the different rankings, which is super helpful. Grab some keyword ideas and view by the amount of volume. So although the exact volume is not accurate on this, let's go back here to our overview. The exact volume isn't accurate, however, it does show you roughly what percentages of volume you're working for with different terms. So let's go back to San Diego and let's do family photographer this time. And you'll see our SEO difficulty is still easy, which is good. Search volume is a little low. Yes and no. Again, we talked about that. But when we scroll down here to our different keyword ideas, we can see that our search volume is mainly for these top 2 inquiries, San Diego family photographer and family photographer in San Diego. So those are main ones. Now some little side categories that would still be worth targeting but aren't quite as important because the volume's not there would be, San Diego family photographer mini session here, portrait photographers, family photographer San Diego, California. So this just gives you some different ideas of keyword variations you can use. So for instance, I might have an article that targets family photographer in San Diego, but I would also throughout that article sprinkle some other keywords in here, such as San Diego family photographer mini session or portrait photographers or photographers in San Diego, California. So you're going to want to go through, find a list of keywords, and I've already done that for you. Based in my experience, what you're going to do is go through and grab your location, whatever that is, and then insert your information. So for example, if you were a photographer, these are some keywords you might want to target: your location, and then the type of photography you do, and then you just narrow it down and go through all of the different variations of those kind of searches. And I'd go through and I would write down my keywords, and then I would be done. So you can take these as a suggestion, or you can do your own research. Now, one other paid tool that you can consider if you're interested is Ahrefs, and Ahrefs allows you to plug in your competitor's website. So let's say that I was wanting to be a San Diego maternity photographer, if I could type. And number one on this list is Yelp, and then expertise, and then the number one actual photographer is Christine Marie Imagery. So I'm going to grab her link, and in Ahrefs I would go through, I would enter her URL right up here, and it would actually show me all the links to her site. It would show me the keywords that she is ranking for, and I can get some ideas of what I want to target based on what she is already ranking for and targeting herself. So that's a tool. I don't need to show you the in-depth. You can pay for it. It's $7 for 7 days, and well worth it if that sounds interesting to you. Okay, so go through, create your keywords. You can download this guide, and after that we will get moving.